In this episode, we talk about the Calcutta High Court cancelling all other backward class certificates issued by the West Bengal government since 2010. We also talk about a massive explosion that took place at a chemical factory in Maharashtra. But first we talk about the case of a 17-year-old boy who, while driving a luxury car, crashed into a motorcycle, killing 2 people. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda and you are listening to 3 Things, the Indian Express news show. It was last Sunday on the 19th of May when the country woke up to the news of 2 people being mowed down by a speeding Porsche that was being driven by a minor. This incident took place in Pune's Kalyaninagar.
Kalyaninagar is a bit of an upscale locality of Pune.
This is Indian Express's Partha Sarathi Biswas.
And it is peppered with a lot of hanging out places, if I may use the term. It has a lot of very uptown restaurants and bars and lounges and everything. So from the records of the police, we realized that a luxury car was involved and it had mowed down 2 youngsters.
These 2 people were riding a motorcycle and were on their way home after dinner.
Everything apparently was over in a jiffy. As the day went by, more and more layers of the story came out, and towards the afternoon, we realized it was not a simple hit-and-run case. It involved the minor son of a Pune-based builder who is pretty big, and also it involved a luxury car, a Porsche to be precise. The car was apparently traveling at the speed of 150 to 160 kilometers per hour, and it had hit these 2 youngsters, Anish Avadia and his friend Ashwini Koshta. Both are software engineers and both from Madhya Pradesh. Avadia is from Pali while Koshta is from Jabalpur, and both of them had died on the spot.
But besides this, the other detail that emerged after the police started investigating the matter was that this 17-year-old driving the Porsche was also drunk at the time. Partha says that the boy was first taken to the police station and later to the Juvenile Justice Board or the JJB.
A minor cannot be produced in the normal courts and instead have to be produced before the JJB, and they are tried under the Juvenile Justice Act.
And Partha, after this, the boy was given bail, and his bail conditions are something that has been making a lot of headlines. Talk about what these conditions were.
So he was given pretty lenient terms. One was that he was to write an essay of 300 words regarding traffic rules. Secondly, he was to help the traffic warden in Yerwada division to manage traffic for 15 days. Thirdly, his parents were to take him to a psychiatrist for treatment of substance abuse. I think they meant the alcohol that he had taken. And fourthly, he was supposed to help people if he ever met them in an accident. So these were the 4 conditions which were put before him. For religion, of course, there was a surety grant of some amount. And then the whole incident started coming up. The CP was involved. That's the Commissioner of Police was involved. He vehemently denied any wrongdoing on his part. There was a lot of hue and cry about the fact that the juvenile was let go on such lenient terms. There was question marks asked about the manner in which the local police had handled the case or had tried to dilute the case. There were talks of the boy being served junk food in the police station, which obviously has not been corroborated yet, but the Commissioner of Police has said everything is being looked after. And then obviously the biggest red flag was the MLA visiting the police station.
And Partha, all this happened on Sunday. Talk about what happened the next day, that is Monday basically.
By Monday, the case had really become big. So the Commissioner of Police, Amitesh Kumar, had swung in action and he had called a press conference. He defended his forces and said that he will move the session court against the plea of the JJB. Remember that we are dealing with the juvenile, so we cannot name him or identify him per person by any account. So in the single bench, JJB had allowed the person to be released on 3 very lenient terms. And the police commissioner said that they were really disappointed with the JJB's judgment and had plans to go to the higher court. And he was also to challenge this in the sessions court, which they have done.
In these cases, especially when the person is just about to turn 18, as is the case here, there is a lot of talk about whether the person should be tried as an adult or not. And in this regard, a lot changed after the Nirbhaya case. That is the 2012 Delhi gang rape and murder case. So, Partha, tell us a little about that.
So when the Nirbhaya case had happened, amendment that was put into the Juvenile Justice Act was that if the case was heinous enough, like what happened during Nirbhaya, and if the juvenile was above 16 or above, he or she would be tried as an adult. That is, they would be tried in the normal sessions court, district court, high court, supreme court, whatever. Now, in case of juveniles, the law is a bit different. Their law is a bit lenient given their young age. Until the time they are not adult, they do not attract most of the sections of the IPC. And so, for example, 304A or 304 culpable homicide and all these things, they are not tried. And the juvenile, in case of Nirbhaya, he had served a sentence of 3 years before he was released. And so the amendment that was put in was that if the crime is heinous enough, heinousness is something which the court and the police will decide, and if it is heinous enough, he or she will be tried as an adult. So this was the thing, and that's how the Pune police wants to try this juvenile.
And Partha, the final order of the Juvenile Justice Board was delivered on Wednesday after the 17-year-old was again presented in front of it. Tell us, what did the order say?
Late on Wednesday evening, the 3-member Juvenile Justice Board at last gave their order. They cancelled the bail of the minor and asked him to be housed in the observatory home at the reform home in Pune till June 5th, that is for 15 days. This was one of the pleas of the Pune police, and at present the minor driver is in the home. The Pune police has also moved an application asking the minor to be tried as an adult, but Juvenile Justice Board is yet to take a decision about that.
And the accident led to the death of 2 people, Anish Avdia and Ashwini Koshtha. Tell us, what do we know about them?
They were pretty middle class and pretty aspirational people. Anish, according to his friends, was the Sarji. He was far more mature than his age. One of his friends who had signed the first FIR had told me that he was his mentor. Anytime he got into a soup or he wanted help about something, he always used to go to Anish. Anish was sponsoring the education of his younger brother in Pune and also used to help his family back in Madhya Pradesh. As for Ashwini, she is from Jabalpur, and from whatever little I spoke to her brother, obviously they were not in a position to speak, and as a human being, as a journalist, we also did not want to interfere in their grief. We realized that they are from pretty humble background. Ashwini's father is a state government employee, and she wanted to do big. She had the normal middle class dreams of traveling abroad, studying, getting a better job and everything. Both Anish and Ashwini were working in the same company, and as they hailed from Madhya Pradesh, they had a common circle of friends. Unfortunately, everything just ended in a jiffy. Ashwini had died on the spot, and by the time Anish was shifted to the hospital, he was proclaimed dead. Everything got over in a matter of seconds for both of them.
And this case has dominated headlines for the past few days. Could you talk about the kind of political reactions that this incident has prompted?
The first political reaction was the presence, which was very unusual, of the local MLA into the police station. Now, a local MLA going to a police station because of an accident should not be very unusual. But the fact is that this case itself was not usual. It involved lots of big names and it involved lots of big money also. The local MLA defended himself. His name is Sunil Tigre and he is from the Ajit Pawar faction of a Nationalistic Congress party. He mentioned that he knows the family and he was told right around 3 o'clock about the accident. So he had just visited the police station to understand what had happened, and then he told the policemen to take action as per the tenets of the law, and he left. But that itself was very unusual. Residents in that area said that he is never available for civic issues, but his presence out there itself created a lot of flutter. He tried to clear the air later on, saying that he had not tried to put pressure or cook up the case or anything. But by then the damage was done. And also the JBs, the Juvenile Justice Board's very lenient terms of release, that also raised a lot of eyebrows. The opposition MLAs, the opposition leaders, even Rahul Gandhi had waded in and talked about how it seems there were 2 laws, one for the rich, one for the poor. Even the ruling party leaders in Maharashtra, those of BJP, BU of Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde or NCP Ajit Pawar, they also called for a relook into the judgment and the release, and they wanted some strict action against this juvenile. Overall, almost everyone in the political spectrum seems to be in the same boat. They want some strict action against the juvenile and they want justice to be done to these 2 young people.
ओला, उबर, ऑटो ड्राइवर्स अगर गलती से किसी को मार देते हैं तो 10 साल की जेल में सजा हो जाती है और चाबी उठा के वो फेंक देते। मगर अगर अमीर घर का 16 साल का 17 साल का बेटा पॉर्श गाड़ी को शराब पी के चलाता है और 2 लोगों की हत्या करता है, तो उसे कहा जाता है कि ऐसे लिख दो।
उस प्रकार से रिवीजन एप्लीकेशन पुलिस ने फाइल की है, उस पर सुनवाई चल रही है। शायद आज या कल में उस पर सुनवाई पूरी होगी, लेकिन वहां पर अगर न्याय नहीं मिला तो पुलिस जितना ऊपर जाना पड़े, पर इस मामले में निश्चित रूप से जब तक न्याय नहीं मिलता तब तक पुलिस कोर्ट के सारे दरवाजे या सारे रास्ते टटोलते रहेगी।
We just heard Rahul Gandhi and Devendra Fadnavis in this clip. But Partha, when we talk about the car, it was also discovered that it didn't have a permanent registration number. Was that also a violation?
As this is a luxury car and it has been imported, it has first purchased in Bangalore and then it was supposed to be transferred to Pune. Because it was purchased and given a temporary registration number in Karnataka, the process of transfer of the registration number and the allocation of a permanent registration number in the Pune RTO is still remaining. So the car did not have a registration number. And was it legal for the car to be on the road without a registration number? They don't have a permanent registration number. They had a temporary registration number. So was it legal or non-legal? That's a gray area that is being looked into.
And Partha, considering the things that we've talked about, what kind of concerns do you think this case raises?
Immediately, there are few concerns. Number one is that why was the JJB so lenient to this person? He is a juvenile, we understand, but could he not been kept in the juvenile observation home for some time? Secondly, the concern is about the whole act of the juvenile being served alcohol. The police commissioner has come on record saying that they have got CCTV grabs which shows the juvenile was served alcohol, and 2 establishments were sealed up by the excise department because of that. So that was one concern. Thirdly, is the speed, the fact that he was given a car and that to a Porsche which is known for speed, and that to his father knew that he was driving, and he was driving in an area, if you see the CCTV grab, the road is really not very wide. You have the metro line going above it in between the road, and then he was driving at a speed of 160 to 170 kilometers per hour. So that itself is a very dangerous thing to do. Also, the whole matter that this person was let go after 15 hours of the incident and 2 lives were snuffed off, everything has created quite a lot of questions against the institution and the way the police had handled this. There has been a lot of firefighting by the police. They have tried to come clean, but the question still remains about their act and how this was handled in those crucial few hours of the accident. Another concern is about the functioning of these establishments, whether they check the ID as asked by the law of their patrons before serving them alcohol, and the hours in which they work. So these are the concerns which have been created. Of course, the political angle to it has not escaped from the eyes of anyone. And so let's see how this story will develop in the next few days.
Next, we discuss the Calcutta High Court's order regarding the OBC certificates issued in Bengal. On Wednesday, the court cancelled all other backward classes certificates issued by the West Bengal government since 2010. This decision is a significant blow to the Mamata Banerjee government, which is currently in a fierce electoral battle with the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Yes, the Calcutta High Court on Wednesday cancelled about 5 lakh OBC certificates which were issued in West Bengal from a time period of 2010 to 2024.
That's Indian Express's Shantanu Chowdhury, who reports on the state for the paper.
The judgment was delivered by the division bench of Justice Tapobroto Chakraborty and Justice Rajashekar Mantha. That also clarified that individuals who had already secured employment based on such certificates will not be affected.
Now the question is, why did the court choose to cancel these OBC certificates that were issued by the state government? Well, the matter pertains to a law enacted by the West Bengal government in 2012. This legislation, the West Bengal Backward Classes Act 2012, basically allowed the state to add communities to the OBC list in order to give them reservation. The High Court in this case was hearing a public interest litigation challenging provisions of this act. And after reviewing the matter, the court struck down several portions of the act.
Among the sections nullified were Section 16, the second part of the Section 2H and Section 5A of the Act, which distributed reservation percentages of 10% and 7% to sub-classified categories.
Through this legislation, the government issued OBC certificates to 77 Muslim communities in the state.
And you have to take into account that the previous left front government, which was in power in West Bengal in 2010, had recommended inclusion of 42 Muslim communities in the OBC categories. They had recommended 10% reservations of the Muslim communities under the backward class communities. And in 2011, the government changed and TMC came to power. And without cancelling the previous recommendations, the government included that and also additional included 35 sub-communities of the Muslims in the reservation category. So therefore, there are 77 communities of Muslims who had received certificates under the OBC category. So therefore, the court has in its order said the selection of 77 classes of Muslims as backward is an affront to the Muslim community as a whole. This court's mind is not free from doubt that the said community has been treated as a community for political ends. This is clear from the chain of events that led to the classification of 77 classes as OBCs and their inclusion to be treated as a vote bank.
So what the court is saying is that the state government's addition of these 77 communities to the OBC list was illegal and recognizes that it was done for political gains.
Yes, that is what the court has categorically said. It is clear from the court order that some kind of irregularities had taken place while distributing the OBC certificates. And one petitioner named Amol Chandra Das had filed a petition at the court, and based on that the order has come.
The crux of the case, as we previously mentioned, concerns how the state government, through Section 16 of the law, could add or amend the OBC list. When speaking to Indian Express's Apurva Vishwanath, who writes on law for the paper, she said that changes to the list cannot be based solely on a state order. There must also be a rational basis for it.
And that rational basis is something that the Supreme Court has been saying since 1992 about quantifiable data, right? How do you identify socially and economically backward classes? And what are the grounds to identify such groups? The case entirely, even in its political backdrop about the 77 communities which were added to the list, all being Muslim communities, it's essentially this: on what basis or on what grounds do you select a particular caste to qualify for OBC quota?
She says granting OBC quotas to Muslim communities has been a politically contentious issue, especially during the election season.
So in this 77 list, a majority or almost all of those castes being Muslim castes, that was the problem. So the court also asked this question on whether the religion can be a criteria to determine whether somebody is socially or educationally backward, right? And here the Mamata Banerjee government argued that it is a starting point. There is no constitutional bar against using religion as a starting point to see if they are backward, right? And that's something the state government lawyers argued in court. And they said, this is not the sole criteria for us to determine. And we obviously didn't determine Muslim religion as a whole to be SCBC. But we looked at that as a starting point because it is from that community that we've received a large number of, applications for OBC quota. So, but the court says that while that may be, it appears that coupled with the chief minister's political statements at that time, her announcement in, public functions. So the court examines that whole context and says this was obviously done for a political purpose. And of course, the reservation only accounted for Muslim subcastes.
Now, hours after the court issued its order, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee announced that she will not accept it and that OBC reservation would continue in the state.
And sources said that if needed, the court might challenge the order at the Supreme Court. However, so far, we haven't got any official word on that. However, Mamata Banerjee said that, the OBC caste certificates as it is distributed in the state will continue. And she also, blamed the BJP for, highlighting this issue and saying that it wants to snatch the reservation rights of the backward classes and also, indirectly of the Muslims who have received the backward classes certificate. And she said that this process will continue and she won't accept this order. And she said that, also targeted the judiciary, saying that one section of the judiciary is giving orders against the state government. While some of the judges are openly saying that, he was a part of the RSS, and some of the judges who retired and also, joined the BJP. So she tried to, attack the judiciary for being biased while passing judgments against the state government. Therefore, she has, declared that she won't accept this court order.
On the other hand, the BJP has welcomed the court order, with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah criticizing the TMC government for granting reservation to the Muslim community.
And he said that he welcomed the court order, and he said that the court order must be executed and ensure that no other communities get reservations under the OBC, as the constitution does not allow reservations to be given based on religions. So he has categorically said that, and also criticized Mamata Banerjee for not accepting the court order. He questioned how can a person holding a constitutional position say such things, and he criticized the thing and said that he will support the court order.
Now, while talking about the timing, Shantanu says that the order deals a significant blow to the ruling TMC government.
In the middle of the elections, when the final two phases are yet to be held, and you have to understand, a large number of seats are going to the polls in the last two phases. And therefore, the TMC, and it is happening in the South Bengal districts where the TMC is in a better place than the BJP. So therefore, this would definitely, come as a setback to the Trinamool Congress, because this Mamata Banerjee although said that she won't accept this order, as it comes as a blow to the backward classes, and comes as a blow to the government's effort to give certificates to backward communities. However, this is seen as a setback to the Mamata Banerjee government.
And in the end, we give you a quick update about the massive blast that took place yesterday in the boiler of a chemical company in Maharashtra's Thane district. The blast, as of this recording, has resulted in the death of 6 people and has caused injuries to 48 others. Officials told the Indian Express that the number of the injured might rise, as many workers and residents are still feared trapped in the factory, which is located in Dombivli. According to a report by Indian Express's Vijay Kumar Yadav and Niharika Bose, the Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation has said that the blast occurred at the Amudan Chemical Private Limited around 1:30 p.m. The explosion was heard within a 2-kilometer radius, shattering nearby building windows, and a large plume of smoke was seen rising above the plant. The KDMC fire official assisting in rescue operations told Vijay and Niharika that due to the presence of chemicals on the company premises, there were 2 additional explosions, adding that the people inside managed to escape just in time after hearing the initial blast. The cause behind the accident is still not known, and the officials said that they would look into it after the rescue operations are over. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank, Bhargava and me, Niharika, Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.